Text. I was born in a village from agriculture family. English was introduced when I was in 7th or 8th standard. Passing 10th grade was considered to be a great achievement. After obtaining a BSc degree, encouraged by my father, I finally ended up with the degree in law. I began practice in a magistrate court in Vijayawada for a few months. Once again, encouraged by my father, I moved to Hyderabad to begin my practice in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh. It was definitely a leap of faith for me. By the time I received the offer for judgeship, I had established a good practice. I had appeared from Taluk courts to the Supreme Court in several high-profile matters. I was also appointed as the Additional Advocate General of my state. I was keen on joining active politics, but destiny desired otherwise. The decision to give up something for which I had worked so hard was not easy at all. The journey from the bar to bench is often not natural. Over the years, I had built my career and life around the people, but I knew if one chooses to cross over to the other side of the bar and join the bench, one has to give up all his social connections. For years together, the life of judge is spent in isolation and social alienation. Particularly in a country such as ours, judges are not mere arbiters of justice disputes. They are also administrators of justice. In order to administer justice, the judges must be aware of the social realities and should not be confined as a social recluse. We must understand that impartiality and independence are a state of mind. However, the undeniable fact is that our engagement with society undergoes a drastic change once we take up judgeships. There is a view that a judge should have continued connections with the society, but sections of society have certain perceptions about judges moving around in social circles. The choice is difficult, but I personally believe that one must remain connected with the society and be aware of social realities and the problems of the people. Now, most of the judges of the constitutional courts begin their judicial career from their successful legal careers. The most obvious sacrifice is monetary. One must be moved by a spirit of public service to take such a decision. As lawyers, our minds are trained in the pursuit of one-sided arguments. It is the pursuit of justifying one side of a coin. On the other hand, a mind of the judge is trained to appreciate competing claims, to appreciate not just facts and rules, but also equities. As Socrates said long time ago, 4 things belong to a judge: to listen courteously, to answer wisely, to consider soberly, and to decide impartially. The responsibility of judging is extremely burdensome, owing to the human implications of our rulings. Every litigant enters the courtroom with an expectation of obtaining justice. The burden of sentencing of an accused, deciding the custody of a child, deciding the right of a tenant or a landlord, calculating the value of a human life in an insurance case, they all take a toll on our mental well-being. We spend sleepless nights rethinking our decisions. After all, like all other humans, even judges are fallible. Judges in apex court are entrusted with the task of delivering the final verdict. As it seals the fate of the parties, the stress is much more at the highest level. It is an onerous responsibility which we take extremely seriously. There exists a misconception in the minds of the people that judges stay ultimate comfort, work only from 10 to 4, and enjoy their holidays. Such narrative is untrue. A few months after becoming a judge of the High Court, I got to see Justice Samachar Plus for the first time. when he came to Hyderabad as my Chief Justice. It is from Justice Sinha that I have understood that what hard work means. He never took leave from court. Even when on touring during the weekends, he would take along a stenographer in the train or car and dictate judgments. I was deeply influenced by Justice Sinha's work ethic. He was known for his dedication, hard work, patience, and independence. In the process, he neglected his health. He used to warn us as to never follow his way of doing things. Sadly, since I could not put this advice into practice, the results are taking a toll on my physical health. It is not easy to prepare for more than 100 cases every week, listen to novel arguments, to do independent research, other judgments, while also dealing with the various administrative duties of a judge, particularly of a senior judge. A person has no connection with the profession cannot even imagine the number of hours that go into preparation. We spend many hours reading the paper books and making notes for matters listed the next day. Preparation for the next day begins soon after the court rises and will go on beyond midnight on most days. We continue to work even during weekends and court holidays to do research and other pending judgments. In this process, we miss out on many joys of our lives. Sometimes we miss out on important family events. At times, I wonder if my grandchildren would recognize me at all after failing to see them for days together. Therefore, when false narratives are created about the supposed easy life led by judges, it is difficult to swallow. People often complain about the long pendency of the cases at all levels of the Indian judicial system. On multiple occasions, I have highlighted the issues leading to the pendencies and backlog. I have been strongly advocating the need to revamp the infrastructure, both physical and personal, to enable the judges to function to their full potential. One of the biggest challenges before the current day judiciary is prioritizing the matters for adjudication. The judges cannot turn a blind eye to the social realities. The judge has to give priority to the pressing matters in order to save the system from avoidable conflicts and burdens. On this occasion, I shall not fail to place on record my worries about the future judiciary in this country. Every case is equally important for a judge. The burden on an already fragile judicial infrastructure is increasing by day. There have been a few knee-jerk reactions in augmenting infrastructure in few places. However, I have not heard of any concrete plan to equip the judiciary to meet the challenges of the foreseeable future, leave alone a long-term vision for the century and the country ahead. Judges and judiciary have no power or authority to introduce a uniform system. The executive also has its own limitations, as it may not be able to appreciate the needs of the judiciary. It is only with the coordinated efforts of the judiciary and the executive that this alarming issue of infrastructure can be addressed. In my opinion, the need of the hour is to initiate a multidisciplinary study where scientific methods can be used to equip our judiciary for the future. With the growth of the economic and population, a sustainable method of dispensation of justice needs to be modeled. The reality, given the current situation, is that we are simply not equipped to handle the rising challenges of the future. If the judiciary suffers, our democracy suffers. This is a serious issue. Doing justice is not an easy responsibility. It is becoming increasingly challenging with each passing day. At times, there were also concerted efforts in media, particularly on the social media against judges. Another aspect which affects the fair functioning and independence of the judiciary is the rising number of media trials. New media tools have enormous amplifying ability, but appears to be incapable of distinguishing between the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, and the real and the fake. Media trials cannot be a guiding factor in deciding cases. Of late, we see the media running kangaroo courts. At times, on issues even experienced judges find it difficulty to decide. Ill-informed and agenda-driven debates on issues involving justice delivery are proving to be detrimental to the health of democracy. Biased views being propagated by media are affecting the people, weakening the democracy and harming the system. In this process, justice delivery gets adversely affected. By overstepping and breaching your responsibilities, you are taking our democracy 2 steps backward. Print media still has certain degree of accountability, whereas electronic media has zero accountability, as what it shows vanishes in the thin air. Still worse in social media. Owing to the frequent transgressions and consequential social unrest, there is growing demand for stricter media regulations and accountability. In fact, looking at recent trends, it is best for the media to self-regulate and measure their words. You should not overstep and invite interference either from the government or from the courts. Judges may not react immediately. Please don't mistake it is to be the weakness of helplessness. When liberties are exercised responsibly within their domains, there will be no necessity of placing reasonable or proportionate external restrictions. I urge upon the media, particularly the electronic and social media, to behave responsibly. You are as important as stakeholders as we are. Please use the power of your voice to educate the people and to energize the nation in our collective endeavor to build a progressive, prosperous, and peaceful India. If you want a vibrant democracy, we need to strengthen our judiciary and empower our judges. These days, we are witnessing increasing number of physical attacks on the judges. Can you imagine a judge who served on the bench for decades, putting hardened criminals behind the bar, once he retires, loses all the protection that came with the tenure? Judges have to live in the same society as the people that have convicted without any security or assurance of safety. Politicians, bureaucrats, police officers, and other public representatives are often provided with security even after their retirement, owing the sensitiveness of their job. Ironically, judges are not extended similar protection. The judges of the constitutional courts enjoy wider discretion while rendering justice, especially in a country as socially diverse as India. Judges must have a very practical approach while laying down the law. They need to be humanistic and compassionate, as their opinions have different impacts on different classes of people. Another aspect behind the idea of discretion to allow the judges to do complete justice in each set of facts and circumstances. To do complete justice, a good judge needs to be aware about the practical outcome of his decisions. Particularly in a common law system where the law progresses with precedents, judges are important stakeholders in shaping the democracies. If the judge's role is confined to adjudicating disputes, if the judge is barred from interpreting the constitution and laws, it would be difficult to imagine the fate of our democracy. One gets to hear that judges, being unelected, should not get into legislative and executive areas. But this ignorance the constitutional responsibility that plays in the judiciary. Judicial review of legislative and executive actions is an integral part of the constitutional scheme. I would go as far as to state that it is the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. In my humble view, in the absence of judicial review, people's faith in our Constitution would have diminished. The Constitution is ultimately for the people. The judiciary is the organ which breathes life into the Constitution. I am very happy that the institution that I hail from has filled certain gaps in the Constitution in the interest of public at large. It is interpretation by the judiciary that have sustained and reinforced the faith of the people in the republic and the democracy. No doubt, the judiciary holds a special position in our constitutional scheme. The judiciary has, by and large, lived up to the responsibilities entrusted to it by the framers of the Constitution. For our people, it continues to be the most trusted organ of the state. Our experience of past 75 years has proved beyond doubt that the parliamentary democracy is the best suited for a country as diverse and complex India. Only a flourishing and vibrant democracy can lead our country on path of peace, progress, and global leadership. As a strong judiciary is the ultimate guarantee for the rule of law and democracy. Hence, our collective endeavor should be to strengthen the judiciary, which in turn further strengthen our democracy. On a personal note, the opportunity to serve as a judge came with the tremendous challenges, but I have never regretted a single day. It is definitely not a service, but a calling. I conclude this memorial lecture and by paying tributes to Honorable Justice Samachar Sinha. May the life and achievements of Justice Sinha inspire generations of young lawyers. Madam Utpala Sinha has been a strong pillar of strength for Justice Sinha and the family. She took a great care of Justice Sinha all through. The credit for her success of their children goes to Madam Utpala. I wish Abhijit, Indrajit, Namnita, and other family members of Justice Sinha. I thank Honorable Chief Justice of Jharkhand, Brother Justice Ravi Ranjan, for honoring me and inviting me for this function. The opportunity to inaugurate the two brand new subdivisional court and complexes at Chandli and Nagar, Ontario. I am happy to note that these court complexes will have 6 and 7 judicial officers respectively and are equipped with state-of-art infrastructure. I hope this brings justice delivery closest to the people in these two subdivisions. I thank Professor Keshav Rao organizing the inaugural and Justice S.B. Sinha Memorial Lecture. I also thank brother and sister judges of the Jharkhand High Court. My best wishes to the children who received the scholarship today under the Project Sishu. My blessings and best wishes to all of you for a successful future. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, my Lord. My Lord has been the powerhouse of knowledge, and Lordship's articulate speech has enlightened us all. Now we proceed towards initiative of Jharkhand State Legal Services Authority, JHALSA. Children are the supreme assets of a nation, but the pandemic COVID-19 has adversely affected all of us, with children being the worst sufferers, rising to the occasion under the able guidance of Honorable Mr. Justice Apresh Kumar Singh, Executive Chairman JHALSA. JHALSA has worked under the guidance of NALSA Scheme for Children 2015 and pioneered Project Shishu in May 2021. Department of Women and Child, Jharkhand has also given its support, and we are proud to announce that more than 1,275 children have been rehabilitated under this. In March 2022, Central Coalfield Limited came up with its scholarship scheme for children who have lost single or both parents to the pandemic, and they worked alongside Jhalsa, identified around 180 children, and they were given the scholarships which ranges from 20,000 to 50,000 per annum for their higher education. We thank Shri MP Prasad, CMD CCL Director, GM CSR for the humanitarian initiative. It gives me immense pride and pleasure to request our Honorable the Chief Guest.
आपने एक्सपर्ट से सुना होगा ये कैसे हेयर फॉल रोकते हैं। सुना है ना आपके फेवरेट चेहरों से भी, पर इनमें है हार्श केमिकल्स जो हेयर फॉल बढ़ाते हैं, तो इनकी मत सुनो।